where you want it.
Bay 12, please.
Hello there, Transformers fans and Street Fighter fans, and welcome back to another Bay 12 video review. And this is part 2 of the Transformers Street Fighter 2 crossover figure reviews, because there were two packs. So the first part of this was Ken versus Chun-Li. Part 2 features Ryu versus M. Bison, which is kind of the ultimate rivalry of Street Fighter, or at least what I know of Street Fighter. Because again, if you remember from part 1, I'm a Mortal Kombat guy, not a Street Fighter guy. Street Fighter's cool. There's a lot of awesome stuff in Street Fighter, especially. M. Bison is a really cool villain. And, you know, I just think these are really awesome 2-packs, and I couldn't resist. Hasbro knows how to get me. They know by doing a cool crossover that I'm a sucker for it, and I'm gonna get it. They know they know I'm a sucker. They got me. But it's awesome. These 2-packs have really been really cool. And honestly, when it comes to the Titans Return molds of these specific figures, these are my favorite versions of these molds. So, yeah, I dig them. I'm glad we got creative retakes on these molds right here. Anyway, here is the packaging for this 2-pack right here. You got Street Fighter and Transformers on the top. You've got the outer box, Street Fighters and Transformers, Ryu versus M. Bison. There's them in their awesome fighting poses, which we'll see a little bit better once we get into the inner box. And yes, there's an inner box for this one as well. There's some awesome Street Fighter and Transformer artwork on that side. Never mind. There's some awesome Street Fighter artwork on that side. There's some artwork of Ryu and M. Bison as the toys on that side, plus their, you know, little character profile pictures right there, their headshots. There's images of the toys, and again, their headshots once again on the back. And that's pretty much it for the outer box. And here they are in the inner box, and you can see them in their fighting poses just a little bit better. Artwork of all 4 figures on the top. On the side, you've got M. Bison. On this side, you've got Ryu. On the back, just like with the first one, you've got them doing their fight moves, which, again, I love that. The packaging is just so well done. I absolutely love what they did with this. These 2-packs are so cool, and again, I'm so happy we got these in the States. And that's pretty much it for the inner box. And then, of course, we also have the inner tray with Ryu versus M. Bison. Ryu's doing his signature Hadouken move. And here they are out of the packaging, and both of them look really awesome. And I gotta say, I had reservations about the Ryu figure, mostly because this is not one of my favorite Optimus molds. I don't really mind the Titans Return Megatron mold so much. I actually do like this mold quite a bit. I thought it was a cool, fun mold. And I thought they were pretty creative with how they made Megatron a triple changer in both a jet and a tank. And of course, that was probably because they did Blitzwing first, but then released Megatron first. Honestly, I'm not too sure how Hasbro did it, but yeah. I'm pretty sure they probably did Blitzwing, and then we're like, hey, how can we squeeze another figure out of this? Oh, let's do Megatron. That would be cool. And it does. It looks cool as Megatron. And, you know, just like with the Ken figure and Chun-Li 2-pack, this is my favorite version of this mold. Same here. I actually like this a lot more as a unique character versus, you know, a headmaster take on a classic character that should not be a headmaster. And Laser Optimus Prime should not be a headmaster. As fun as the toy is, it's a wonky mold, and it was definitely better suited as Octane or Tankor or Octone, whatever you want to call him. But I am also still looking forward to the day when we get a proper Octane figure in Voyager class or Leader class is what they'll probably make him in the future. You know, because Octane's not a headmaster either. So, you know, if it's a headmaster, make it a headmaster. If it's not, don't make it a headmaster. I know that was the play pattern of the time with Titans Return, but, you know, it's nice that we're getting proper updates these days. And I still like having the mold in the collection, so it's perfect that I've got Ryu now. That said, I get what Hasbro and Takara were going for with these 2-packs, where specifically with M. Bison versus Ryu, you know, you've got the main antagonist facing off against the main protagonist, which obviously is Optimus and Megatron, but I don't really feel like any Optimus figure really fits for Ryu. It just kind of feels weird and out of place. As cool as the figure looks, this is my least favorite of the 4. Again, I'm not saying I don't like it. I think he looks awesome, and as I mentioned moments ago, this is definitely my favorite version of this specific mold released. It's just, I don't know, I feel like a truck and a triple changer figure of a truck and a plane doesn't really fit Ryu characteristically. Chun-Li, having the RC figure as Chun-Li, perfect. Absolutely perfect. They really could not have made a better decision there. Having Megatron, using the Megatron figure for M. Bison, also perfect, especially in jet mode. I mean, both modes really work for M. Bison's aesthetic, but the jet mode feels very M. Bison to me. Using Ken for a hot rod wasn't a bad choice. Honestly, I feel like that would have been better suited for Ryu more, and maybe they just, and instead they could have used either either the Blur mold or the Chrome Dome mold for Ken. I think would have been a little bit better suited than this guy, or, you know, use the Chrome Dome or Blur mold. Probably the Chrome Dome mold actually would have been better for Ryu instead of the Optimus mold. And again, I get the parallels they were going for, but I just don't feel like it works with this very well. I don't know. I feel like there were better options, which would have actually been a cheaper option for Hasbro and Takara, and would have made this pack just a little bit cheaper as well. Especially since Ryu is quite a bit smaller than M. Bison. And yeah, this figure is definitely smaller than this figure, but I feel like the size difference should just be a little bit more. Just a little bit. But those are just my thoughts on that. You probably feel very differently about it in the comments. In fact, you probably are like, dude, why are you reading into this so much? It's just supposed to be a fun concept. And yes, it is. It is a fun concept. I totally get it. I am definitely deconstructing this far too much. So with that in mind, let's just go ahead and move on to actually the figures, shall we? Here is Ryu, and he's looking really great. A whole new Prime, a whole new Convoy as they have on the packaging, because again, they just imported the figures over, so they have the same packaging. And he's looking awesome for comparison. Here he is next to, we're just going to put him next to regular classic Optimus Prime, just to further show off the differences between the two, just so you can kind of get an idea of how he looks next to an Optimus Prime. And you know what? Having a totally different mold, if I was to compare this to a Titans Return Optimus, I think I'd feel very differently. Now, I do not have that Optimus in my collection just because as an Optimus Prime figure, I don't care for it, honestly. And that's interesting for me to say because I have a lot of Optimus Primes in my collection. I love Optimus Prime. He's my personal hero. He's probably the fictional character I look up to the most, which is weird to say as a man, but he is. He's my lifetime hero, and probably always will be. So, yeah, it's weird saying that, but yeah, I'm just not crazy about the Titans Return Voyager Optimus. Now, I love the Power Master one. That one's cool. That was an awesome figure. I don't mind the Headmaster gimmick in that one so much, just because he had a minifigure gimmick originally anyway, and I also have the original Power Master Prime toy, so, you know, I'm happy. But, yeah, I just didn't really care for the Voyager Titans Return Optimus mold. I don't know, I just never really cared for it. As an Optimus Prime figure, I mean, specifically as an Optimus Prime figure. But I feel like it works better here. I think it's a little bit cooler here. So, there you go, there they are side by side. Also, just real quick, before we get into specific figures and comparisons, here's all 4 figures side by side in their robot modes, just so you can see the full set of 4 figures, and it's a great set of figures. Honestly, I feel like they could keep going. I really do. I feel like they could do more characters, especially more of the more popular and iconic characters from Street Fighter 2. If they really wanted to. If these 2 packs sell well enough here in the States, since they've finally been imported over here, maybe Hasbro and Takara will take a moment to look at that and go, okay, who else can we do from the Street Fighter 2 roster? Because there's some other cool fan favorites. Like one of my best friends, his favorite character from Street Fighter is Blanca. And I think there's a lot of awesome options where he could fit, not just specifically from Titan's Return line, just overall in general, where we could get a really cool crossover Blanca figure. What's a character from Street Fighter 2 that you wish they did in the Transformers crossover line? Who's your favorite Street Fighter 2 character? Who would you have liked to have seen crossed over? And what's an existing Transformers figure you think would have fit well for that character? Let me know in the comments, please. All right, getting back to Ryu here, he looks really awesome. Despite not being one of my favorite molds, I still do like this mold. I still think it's a fun toy. And one of the things I do really like about this figure mold is the weapon accessory. So you've got that awesome Laser Optimus double barrel blaster that came with the original Titan's Return mold of Optimus, which honestly, they executed this way better with this than with the Transformers Legacy Laser Optimus Prime figure, because they creatively incorporated it into the trailer, yes, but the blaster was done better and more accurate here. In fact, this is the best version of the Laser Optimus blaster because the chonky one from the original G2 release was also just okay. This is the coolest version. I also really like the somewhat translucent, but not really. It's only translucent because of how thin the plastic is. Energon Star Saber-like sword he has, which looks really good in this blue color. I like how it's similar to his Energy Blast attack blue color as well. I think that's neat. He has the same articulation as the regular Titan's Return release. Head is on a ball joint, with you being able to move his whole upper collar section side to side. You can also push these in, his earpieces, which was a cool feature on the Voyager class figures in Titan's Return. You push on his gut panel here and that makes them pop out. I like having them out. I didn't care to have them out during the Optimus figure, but I don't know, I kind of like having them out on this figure. With the color variation, I think it looks good. And then, of course, you get more range of motion with those ears down. Fully articulated shoulders, they can rotate. You also have, you know, the G2 style full shoulder stacks. I kind of like having them down to the side for this figure. I think they look good down to the side, so I just kind of like to have them folded down over here. I think that's not a bad look for him. In and out, upper bicep, single jointed elbows, and I like how you can, how they got that beige paint on there for the skin tone of Ryu there. And even with his fingerless gloves, man, they nailed that look too. The paint apps on these figures are incredible. The details, they really did go all out on the details. You even have his chest here exposed from the way his gi just folds together, which is really neat. You got his wings folded up on his back. You've got the front of his feet out, because again, he's a Street Fighter without shoes on. What's with these good guys forgetting to wear shoes? What is it, just more punishment to put themselves through? I don't know. It's kind of weird to me. Put some shoes on, buddy. You don't want to hurt yourself. Transformation is just like the other Titan's Return figures. We're going to start by taking the headmaster off, and then we're going to go ahead, we'll focus on the little headmaster here real quick first. So here he is, just unfold him like you would any other Titan Master figure or headmaster figure. And I like how they got more specific detail on the little head sculpt here. He even has his little headband, which is really cool. He's got his guns out, got his fingerless gloves. They even painted his fingers. It's faint, but it's there. You can tell. Really cool. Really awesome. And that's it for that little guy. We'll set him aside. We're going to start off with his plane mode, and then we're going to set him aside, and then we'll focus on M. Bison for a minute, and then we'll do our other comparisons, since, you know, regular Optimus and regular Megatron don't have jet modes or plane modes. So to get him into his plane mode, what we're going to do is we're going to bring this tail section back a little bit. We're going to angle that down, and we're going to push, nope, not that. we're going to angle that out a little bit, and then we're going to try and push it into the body a little bit so that we have this kind of angle where it sits out like this. And then we're going to fold the central tail fin together and then fold back out the little tail fins like so. Next up, we're going to not do that. Push that back in. We're going to take the chest piece here. It's on a double hinge. We're going to fold it all the way back like so. So that's going to be the back of the plane. The back of the plane is going to look a little strange, guys. It's a weird plane mode. We're going to bring out that arm. We're going to fold in that fist. There's the front of the truck. We're going to rotate it like so, bring it back over, fold out that shoulder bit, rotate it, fold it down so it looks like we've got half of the front of the truck on the side of the airplane, because that's what we do have. Do the same thing over here. Fold that fist in, bring that in. Bring that upper part out, fold that down. There we go. Next, we're going to come to the legs here. We're going to push back on the hips. They sit on this little guide here. We're going to push back on those. Come over to the legs. From the inner parts of the legs, we're going to fold out the front of the plane. And as we do, we're going to rotate out the front of the plane so that it's facing out like so. Next, we're going to come over to the front of the legs, rotate the front of the leg out to the side, fold the foot all the way in, and then fully rotate that front of the leg over to the side like so. Do the same thing over here, out to the side, fold in all the way around. And next, we're going to go ahead and peg the legs together. And then we're going to, on these side sections of the legs, on these double hinges, bring them all the way up. You might have to move the arms back out of your way, but bring them all the way up. And tab those together in the center to make that middle part of the plane there, so you can kind of see we have more of a plane forming. Put those arms back where they were, so they're again out of the way. Come over to the wings and fold out the wings. And there he is in his airplane mode. And again, it's a weird plane mode. It is not a great plane mode, especially because the way they designed the mold, the wings are like all the way here at the back of the plane, and it just, I don't know, it's just a very strange plane mode. That's part of why I wasn't ever crazy about this mold, was because back when they were doing the Titan's Return, not only were they making basically everybody in the line from deluxe class and up a headmaster, whether that character should have or should not have been a headmaster, which was, you know, a minor issue I had with the line. But pretty much every single Voyager class figure in the line also was a triple changer for whatever reason. Now, obviously, Optimus was retooled into Octane, or Octane was developed and then they were like, oh, hey, we can turn this into an Optimus figure or whatever. Just like with Megatron over there sharing a mold with Blitzwing in the Titan's Return line. But it just kind of feels like unnecessary because, again, this plane mode just looks wonky. Having the wings on the back like that, it's just so weird looking. I've never been crazy about this plane mode. It's one of my least favorite plane modes in Transformers. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. The truck mode is much better though. The truck mode's pretty cool, but the plane mode is just weird. I like this on the side. Maybe it says Ryu. Honestly, I have no idea what it says. If someone can comment below what that says, maybe it says like, you know, like when tourists think, oh, hey, I got this shirt, it means love, but it says like, you know, egg or noodle or something random. That could totally be the case here. I have no idea. Someone please be kind and let me know in the comments. All right, setting Ryu aside, here is M. Bison, which looks great. The detail on him is awesome. Head is on a ball joint. His collar pop-up gimmick is these cool little guys that pop up next to the head, which actually look a lot cooler on the M. Bison figure than I felt they did on the Megatron. Now, after you push him in, just to pull him out, you open up his chest, push down on this little switch right here, and that makes him pop back out again. So, nice and cool. I love the use of chrome paint on this figure. I love the chrome wings, I love the chrome highlights, I love the chrome legs, the chrome end on the fusion cannon here looks awesome. I love the use of chrome on this figure. I think it's really cool, really well suited, and serves the figure well. For comparison, here he is next to 35th anniversary Siege Megatron, which is my current favorite regular Megatron figure at the moment. I love the cell shaded take they did on this figure. So there you go, regular Megatron versus M. Bison, the Titans Return Megatron mold. So you can see that variation. Fully articulated head is on a ball joint, which I think I already did. Fully articulated shoulders, swivel, in and out, upper bicep, single jointed elbows, nothing at the wrists, hips. Wait, do we have a waist? Yep. No waist articulation, hip joints, upper thigh, single jointed knees, and the feet can go forward and back mostly due to transformation. There's not really any ankle joints on this figure here. We'll go ahead and get him into his jet mode here. So to start, we're going to bring those little guides down, pull the little head off, set that to the side. Again, the head on this figure looks really good. Honestly, the head sculpt on this looks better as M. Bison than it did as Megatron. And I didn't think this was a bad Megatron head sculpt to begin with, but for some reason it just works better for this character than it did as Megatron. And there he is in his little headmaster robot mode. Honestly, of the three, the most underwhelming. Interestingly enough. I think the Ryu and the Ken little headmaster robot mode was a little bit better than this one. But in head mode, this one I think has the best head sculpt of the three. Transformation is just like with the Titans Return release of Megatron. We're going to start by taking his fusion cannon off. Next, we're going to come down to the arms. We're going to rotate that in, rotate that in. We're going to pull on the arms and kind of get them out of the way. We're going to come to the back here. We're going to extend these wings and kind of pull those off to the side as well and get them out of the way. Next, we're going to pull down on this section right here. We're going to come over to the chest. We're going to pull down on that section right there, and then we're going to, on that hinge, fold the chest down there where his crotch plate was. And then we're going to push. No. Then we're going to untab the arms from the side of the body, and then we're going to push out the front of the jet mode all the way around like so. Bring this turret section back up for right now, and then we're going to go ahead and do the legs. So for the legs, we're going to open these side panels. Now, you don't get full clearance when you're trying to fold in the feet, so you kind of have to pull them over to the side and then push them in, which is it worries me a little bit because of the chrome plastic on both sides. I'm worried about those rubbing together, and I'm also worried about, you know, pulling too hard and maybe snapping something. Now, so far I haven't, but, you know, it is a concern that could be there. Next, before we close that panel up, we're going to, on this double joint, fold it up over the leg, and then we're going to close that panel up. Do the same thing over here. Open that side panel, get the foot in on that double hinge, get the leg in, close that panel up, and then we're going to tab the legs together. Next, we're going to fold out these fins so they're somewhat straight up, and these do line up a specific way with the arms. Speaking of the arms, we're going to rotate that whole arm section all the way down. There, that tab that tabbed into the side of the torso is going to tab into the side of the leg. So get that lined up. That's why it was important to have this in a specific position, because it also tabs into that section right there. Do the same thing over here. Tab it in, tab it in. Make sure that the wings are facing the correct way. Next, we're going to bring that little tread down like so. Bring the arm all the way down to the side. Fold out that other bit of tread and other bit of tank, and then we're going to fold it all the way back. And then this little peg right here is going to tab into that peg hole there on the side. Like so. And there we have that side all down. Let's go ahead and bring down that little tail fin right there. Do the same thing over here. Bring that little tread down, fold that out, and then fold it all the way back and peg it in. Fold that little bit down. Come over here to the tank. Bring that down so we have a small tank cannon down here. And then next up, we're going to open the cockpit section right here, the front of the jet up. Fold out the nose cone. Take your little Bison figure. Fold him at the legs. Sit him down inside, close the cockpit up. Now he's piloting his jet mode. And then we take his weapon, we split it in half. The top part, with these two little bits right here, and then this little peg. The middle peg is going to go right here. The two little bits is going to hold those two leg sections together, so you have a little cannon on top, and then on the bottom, which is what we're going to be doing in tank mode anyway, you're going to take this section, it's going to tab onto that little tiny barrel, and then you have a big cannon on the bottom of the jet. And while it looked kind of weird for Megatron to have this feature being a jet that's supposed to be a robot in disguise, I feel like it feels more like Bison here, because Bison, has some big ridiculous vehicles and weaponry and things with his military. So it actually totally makes sense for him to have a jet mode like this. Whereas it didn't work quite as well for Megatron, it works much better for Bison, I feel. And then, of course, if you look at the top of the jet, you have the Decepticon logo here in the middle, which matches really well with the rest of that blue stripe there. But then you have those awesome little Bison military symbols there on the wings of the jet, which looks really cool. Overall, his jet mode looks great. As a jet, as a flying alt mode, it looks fantastic. Ooh, a lot better than this plane mode. This jet mode's great. This plane mode, not so much. All right. Back to Ryu. Now we're going to take Ryu and take him from his airplane mode, which is weird and wonky, and turn it into his all right looking truck mode. So to take him from jet mode to truck mode, we're going to move the wings up and out of the way for right now. We're going to fold those tail fins up into the central tail fin for right now. Then we're going to pull up on that section, kind of bring it down a little bit, bring down his chest plate just a little bit, put those antenna ear pieces back in, and then we're going to bring the front. Then we're going to bring the front of his truck mode together, but as we do that, this piece right here is going to fold down and go into the center, so it's going to be in the middle, and you just kind of want to get it lined up as you bring those two halves together. It's a little tricky getting the positioning just right so that it collapses and pegs into place properly, but once you get it lined up just right, it works just fine. And then you just take that chest piece, and now that's the bottom of the front part of the truck there. And there's pretty much the front half of the truck done. Now we just got to deal with the rest of this. So what we're going to do next is we're going to untab all of this here on the back. We're going to take these front of the plane. We're going to rotate that. We're going to fold that back in, rotate that, fold that back in. And then we come to the wings here. We're going to rotate it up, down, flip this around, so that it's facing inward like so. Do the same thing over here. Up, down, flip it around, and bring it down. And once you have that all lined up, right there in the middle, then you just kind of collapse the legs, get it all pegged in, and all the various paneling, and there you go. There he is in his truck mode. And like I said, his truck mode looks a lot better than his plane mode. Not the best laser prime truck mode though, but definitely better than the airplane mode. Now, I didn't show off Ryu going inside the vehicle mode while he's in plane mode. Whereas with M. Bison, the headmaster has 2 places it can go depending on the vehicle mode. For the Ryu figure, it's just the one. So here, this little section right here opens up, and that's where you can put your little character inside, and then you just close it back up. You don't really get to see him piloting the vehicle at all. So yeah, that's why I'm covering it now versus sooner. Now for comparison, here he is next to Optimus Prime, so you can see them both in their truck modes. Again, I didn't bring a Laser Optimus or even the Titans Return Optimus, just because one, I don't have the Titans Return Optimus in my collection again, and I want him up there next to the regular Autobots, next to my Generation 1 Autobots. That's what makes this crossover even cooler for me, is that it's a more unique standout mold versus just being a repaint of the same character already on shelf. So yeah, that's why I'm showing it off next to the other Optimus. All right, now let's get M. Bison into his tank mode. Getting him into tank mode is going to be pretty easy. First, we're going to take this barrel off. We're going to leave the other barrel on. We're going to open up the cockpit here. We're going to take little M. Bison out. We're going to close that back up. And we're going to next turn this whole thing upside down. Bring the wings down out of the way. Fully extend those arms out. Untab those arm sections from the side and fully rotate that all the way back around. Bring that turret section up out of the way. We're going to fold that front of the jet back in. Tab those back into the shoulder sections like if we were putting him back in robot mode, which we're not. Come back over here, bring that turret section back down and tabbed back into place. And then along the sides, we're just going to tab in the arm sections, fold in those little tail fins, rotate that forward. The robot mode hands are going to peg onto that peg right there on the side. Do the same thing on the other side, tab that in, peg that on, there we go. And then for the wings, we're going to fold up, fold that first section in, fold that second section in, and then just bring it down to the side. Same thing over here, fold up, fold in, bring down to the side. And there we go. There he is in his tank mode. And like I was saying, he has 2 different pilot spots for both modes. So for his jet mode, he sat in the cockpit. For the tank, he sits up top. So what we do is we bring this little windshield visor section up, take our figure here, put him inside right there, and then just kind of bring it down over his legs. So he just sits in the top right there, and it looks really cool. And then if you want to put the other gun on there, you just put it on top of the other cannon. Just pegs there right on top, which honestly gives him an extra layer of defense and another, you know, gun to blast Autobots with, which I think is really cool. You get a really good full rotation on the turret there at the top. The wheels on the bottom do roll for his tank mode, and it's a pretty solid looking tank mode for a triple changer. Again, this is definitely the best release of this mold in my opinion. And for comparison, here he is next to Ryu. Ryu's a significant amount longer than M. Bison, but M. Bison is much wider than Ryu. And also for comparison, here is M. Bison next to regular Megatron in tank mode, which I realized I forgot to bring the sword, which makes the rest of the tank barrel for his tank mode. Without it, he looks kind of stumpy and silly. Yeah, that's my bad. But yeah, just for comparison, here he is next to Megatron. Definitely a cooler looking tank right now than this one. But overall, you know, some really awesome figures. Guys, thanks again for tuning into today's review, which again is part 2 of the Transformers and Street Fighter 2 2-pack. A lot of 2s going on right now. Video reviews. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, featuring Ken and Chun-Li, go back and watch part 1. And if you have, well, thank you for watching and stay tuned for more, because we have other Transformer reviews coming up, plus other Transformer reviews we've already done. But also check out our other Bay 12 content as well, because we do a wide variety of content here on Bay 12. Go check out our storefront in the Shops at Willow Bend Mall in Plano, Texas, inside Order 66 Multiverse. We'll see you guys later. We'll see you another time. Transform and roll out.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.